Hey there guys, welcome back for another Heroquest painting challenge video. Uh, Obviously this series is kindly sponsored by Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy and Two Thin Coats specifically. So obviously they sent me a small batch of paints. If you haven't seen obviously where I've mentioned all this, then go back to the playlist and check the first video. But basically they sent me some paints from their first series or first sort of set that they released, to show you guys how to paint the Heroquest miniatures through the core game and all of its expansions. And yeah, basically today we're doing the Dwarf. So this is obviously the male Dwarf from the core set. There's nothing here that was the backer stuff, it's all the retail versions. But yeah, we've got the Dwarf here. Going to get the colours to try and match, so we're going to do him this nice sort of brown skin tone. And then we got the golds and the purple, the black hair, and this sort of grey. I'm not sure, I don't think it's a metallic, I think it's supposed to be more like a stone. And then it's got this blade in it, so I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do this in a grey, and then metallic silver for the blade and the shaft of or the hilt of the axe there, and then obviously his jewellery bits are going to be that silver as well, and then yeah, the golds. So not too many paints this time. I think in total I've got 8 paints, and then I might be using 1 or 2 extras, so we'll go through them quickly. But we've got Death Reaper Black, try and get these in focus. So Death Reaper, which is a black. We've got Skulker Yellow for our yellow. Now there's no yellow in, or there is yellow in it, it's a non-metallic metal. We're using gold, but the gold that we have is Dragon's Gold, which isn't going to be quite as yellow as this, so we're going to apply this and then glaze over it with this and see if we can get a bit more of a yellow tint with this, or mix some of these together and try and get a little bit more of a yellow gold. Then we've got plate armour for all of the silver details, Sorcerer's Cloak for the purples, Boar Hide. Now this is a reddish brown, which is what I'm going to use for this, with a mix in of dwarven skin. So you can see the dwarven skin is a bit pale for that. It may work for the lightest, like on his knuckles here and some of the lighter skin, but we're going to mix in some of this boar hide to get the deeper brown there as the base coat, and then we're going to use a flesh wash and see how that goes with it as well for getting those darker tones in there. So obviously the model, now as I've said a number of times before, this rubbery plastic isn't great for removing mould lines, so I've not bothered. We've got this mould line right down the axe here. I think it goes around his elbow, you can see that it comes up here along the shoulder pad a little bit, so yeah, there's mould lines. I'm not fussed. I've tried removing them on some of the other models, and you can't use it with the back of a knife or anything, or a mould line remover tool. This stuff just doesn't come away, it sort of bumps over the top of the lines and just doesn't work. I've tried it using an actual blade and remove it, and I find that you slice and then you end up sort of cutting into the rubbery plastic, so no, we won't bother with that. Also, I'm sure you guys have noticed that there is some sound there of a fan coming through the audio. Obviously British summertime now, we're in a bit of a heat wave. It is hot in my room at my painting desk. I've got a PC literally under here. This is a PC desk with a pull-out drawer or pull-out shelf, so underneath that is a PC that does pump out quite a bit of hot air to obviously keep the PC cool. So I've got all this hot air coming up. It gets very hot in this room anyway, so I've had to get the fan on just to the side of me to try and keep me cool and stop these paints from drying out too much, which is another problem I have in the summer, is the paints on here tend to dry out quite horrible. So yeah, apologies for the fan audio. So with that being said, let's get on and start painting this guy. So first of all, we are going to do the skin tone, because it's, in terms of depth, it's under everything. Obviously clothes and everything else is on top of the skin, so we're going to do the skins first. So what we're going to do is apply some boar hide, and obviously with the camera out of focus we can just about see down here on the palette. I'll try and keep all the paints in so you can see what I'm mixing up. Right, now that ball, there it goes, it gets stuck up in the top there. Go. We are leaking some of that, so you can see that's quite a reddish brown. I know it's out of focus, but obviously I need a manual focus so that the model is in range here. And then we've got this really pale dwarven skin, and what I'm looking to do is obviously mix up a bit of a mid-tone. So we're going to see what we can get. So it's obviously very fleshy colour, this one, which is great if you want a pale skin dwarf. Not so great if you want a darker skin. So first I'm just going to take a little bit of this one, and a little of the boar hide, and I'm looking to get the mid-tone. And again, the point of this challenge is to use the limited paints that I've got and to try and match it to the card art. So I think this is coming up a little bit. It's not got that greyish look to it. I may have to bring it down. I've got here, this is what I meant with the other paints, some Ancient Forest, which is a sort of a grey brown. I think we may have to go with this one. So we'll unblock the nozzle, the ball, there we go. And there we go. So if we look at it, just grab some of this, it's actually closer than what this one is. You see, this is still quite pink, but I'm hoping that if I combine these two a little bit, we should get some of that pink from the boar hide and the flesh tone into that. It's actually worked quite well. And there we go. Much more towards what we need. So let's make up a nice amount of this. And as always, I don't do exact recipes for things like this. I like that bit of randomness. I'm not going to be doing him again. If I was doing another dwarf, he's not going to have the exact same skin tone. I'm just going to remember that it's these three colours to get that. So that's the mid-tone. To get it lighter, I'll add some of the flesh tone there. So what we'll do, we'll apply this. So looking at the card, obviously it doesn't show his feet. Now his feet on here, if we look, he's got this boot looking piece and it comes down, but there's this strap. I don't think his feet are on show. I think he is wearing boots. Now his legs, I think, looking at the design, this is purple. The underside looks like some sort of brown leather, and then I'm assuming the ends of the toes here, where he's got these sort of metal bits, would be gold. So this would be his skin. Obviously this is going to get a bit darker once we put a wash over it, and then we can bring it back to this. The other way to do it would be to mix in or mix up a shadow tone and then put that in, but we'll see. I think the wash will work. And once again, for those of you who may not have seen my other videos yet, these are for the most part unedited. They may have a little bit sped up, just so I can get the paint on without having to take too long, you know, you guys watching just paint dry. They'll speed up, but I won't cut too much, so everything you see me doing with the brush is exactly how I am doing it with the brush, basically. So we've got his arm here now. He's got this rope coming across, and I can't tell if that's supposed to be a skin above and below it. I'm going to do it as though it is. So we've got this bit of skin up here, but that looks textured. On the back there is actually texture, so no, that is not skin. There is something, he's got some sort of undercloth there. It might even be chainmail or something. So that rope is the edge of it. Hand, get down where we can. Obviously, being a pre-assembled, you know, single sculpt model, some areas we're not going to be able to reach. I'll do the best I can. No, that's not skin. I was trying to get in between there, thinking there might be skin. Doesn't matter if I've applied that, because obviously we'll put a colour over the top of it. As long as it's not a dark colour and then a light colour going over, it's fine. There's not really much of a problem with it. Right, and then we'll see where we can get on his face. So you can see once it dries, it is still quite light, but I think once we get that wash on there, that'll be fine. Just make sure we get everywhere. Okay, so that's the first layer of the skin down. Next we're going to do his hair, because it's just a huge, it's the top third of the model. Probably shouldn't try and talk whilst I'm shaking the paint. So here I'm using the Death Reaper, which has a bit of a bluish tint to it. It's a blue-black, which will be great for his hair. And I'm just going to go straight in with this because we'll highlight it later. It might actually be a bit too thin. I think I need more shaking. It is supposed to be 2 thin coats, so should be okay. I'm used to some blacks where they go on in one hit. No, I think looking at that, feels like there's too much medium down there. That's better. You can see how it's a lot thicker, so a bit too much medium in the other bit, didn't shake it enough. Let's see how that comes out now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's that done. I think I'm going to do the what I called the stone part around the axe there, and I noticed that it's a little bit down here, sort of looks like it as well. So I'm going to do those in black just as a base coat, and creeping on his shoulder here, where are we? Just under here, we can see this light bit. His cuffs are obviously purple, and then he's got this brown bit around it. This rope looks paler than this, so I think it's a pale, almost white rope. I think the area between the pauldron and this rope I'm going to do as a purple cloth to match in with his skirt, I suppose you could call it. So this up here will be purple. All of this will be purple. Now I feel like he would wear a heavy armour here, so this I'm going to do as a plate silver. Obviously we can't see the back on the model, so we've got plate silver here. Now he's got this bit that comes down here. I'm going to do that purple because I feel like he would have, obviously the plate isn't going to be on bare skin. I think it's going to be part of this, would be like a drop on, and then the plate across the top, and then this bit as well would be purple to match this. It looks very similar, like it is fabric. So I'm going to get the black onto the axe head here, and then we can move on to the purple. Just going to thin the black down slightly so that I can get it to run into these recesses, because they're going to be left black when the grey is done over the top, although I may have to, paint the black back in there if any of the grey goes in there, but obviously it'd be nice to get a good start with the black in there anyway. Just going to get to what I can see, or what I can safely get a brush to without getting it on other parts if I can help it. And then we've got this stone bit here. Now is that the whole? No, that does have gold on it. So just this part here. Right, then for the silver, he's got the piece on his face, which I've painted flesh, so we'll do that. I think I'll leave that in the flesh colour, but I will paint it silver. I won't do black on it, but I will do his back plate here with black, just so that that silver can then go on top and look clean there. Well, I say look clean, look bright. It's because I just had a message from the missus saying don't forget to do the cleaning and I said clean. Yeah, make the silver look a bit more bright. If you do it on the grey base coat, it doesn't sort of pop as much. Right, so that's that. Let's move on to the purple. So for this I've got the Sorcerer's Cloak. This is going to be quite a bright purple. So what I'm going to do is mix in a little bit of that black, because this I'd say is going to be probably the mid-tone, maybe even the highlight. It is a different purple. We can see that this one is more blue. Now I have got Elysium blue, but I think that this is too light to mix in to get this dark. I think the Death Reaper, having that blue in there, will darken it up a bit better. So I'm going to mix it on the bottom here, just underneath. Now the problem with the black is it's going to mute the colour a little bit, sort of dull it down. Let's try a little bit of the boar hide and see if we can just pull that up a little bit. There you go. So that's a bit more of a red purple now, but it's darker. That's not far off. This is definitely more blue, but we'll have a look. So we'll go on the back and see what we can match here. So yeah, this is definitely a lot more on the red side of the purple rather than the blue. So you can see that now they are totally off. So that doesn't work. I think the Elysium blue is the only way to go. I don't have anything else. I've got, let's see, I've got emerald green, but that's too green. That will pull the colour the wrong way, so let's put a little bit of this down. Feels like the bottle had leaked a little bit. Yep. Right, and like I said, this is quite light, so I want to be careful with how, look, I don't want to lighten it too much. That's more towards the blue, so it makes it go a bit grey. And that's probably the best that I'm going to get with this. Obviously this is the shadow tone, so it's not too bad. But you can see it still just doesn't have that blue vibrancy that this one has, and without a better selection of colours, it's a little bit harder to do, you know, to get that blue colour without dulling down the purple. I could make one if I had the right reds, or the right red and blue, but again, the whole point of this challenge is to do it with the paints that I've got. And obviously to show you guys what can be achieved with a limited palette. And what I am hoping to do in the future with some other models is show you guys, if you would like, how to use a set of primary colours with a black and white to achieve a wide variety, basically to be able to paint a model and still get a wide variety of colours across different models. If that's something you would like to see, then let me know down in the comments and I'll see about doing that. It wouldn't be with any specific brand of paints, it will be whichever paints go the closest to the 3 primary colours that I need, which would be cyan, magenta and yellow, with black and white. So basically the CMYK. And then from that I can show you guys what we can achieve by mixing those up. Alright, so that's the purple. I think that is it all done. We've got there, we've got here, can't see anything under here, we've got this shoulder pad, got it up in there, we've got the inside of the boots, or sort of the outside of the boots, but it's the fold, so it's technically the inside. They're done, and then the boots will be a brown leather. Now he's got this gold waistband that has these purple bits inside it, so let's go ahead and do them. In fact, if we paint that, we can go over the purple with the gold. It doesn't matter too much. Okay, so with those colours done, I don't want to go on to the gold yet. We're going to add the shades, the washes. So first of all, we've got the flesh wash here. And again, I don't have any wells or anything to put this in, so I'm just going to put it on the palette and hope that it doesn't run too much. Shouldn't need more than a few drops for the skin here. So you can see now how that has darkened that right up. It's actually a very nice wash, this, for doing dark skin. Obviously you could do light skin as well, you just have to come up really bright again and leave that dark only in the darkest recesses, whereas I'm using it to also tint the skin, and I've touched his hand there, so do that and then I'll come back over it in a minute. So I'm going to let that dry. I'll touch that up, rewash it, and then we'll come back. Obviously I'm not going to make you watch a wash dry, although to be fair it's already dry in here. So yeah, I'll do that and then we'll come back. Just dried, you can see that's darken them recesses, and obviously we'll brighten up the raised areas with that mid-tone. But first we're going to wash the purple there. Now normally I would do this with a blue wash, but obviously being limited I don't have a blue wash, so we're using Oblivion Black, get that focus, Oblivion Black wash. Now the only other wash that I have that I thought might be okay was orc flesh. I tried that on a little bit, but it's too vibrant green, which this little spit down here, it was a bit too green to work. I was hoping that it would have a little bit of that blue in there. Now this wash is quite a grey wash, so hopefully this will work, and then we can just brighten back up over the top. And just leave it in the recesses. And looking at it, I think that will work well enough. I think that is it, a little bit there. Yep, that's that one. So again, we'll leave this to dry, and then we can come back and start working on the highlights and stuff for these three. The boots I'm going to do last. I'm going to decide what brown I want them. I think I'll go with the boar hide. I just don't want it to look too much like the flesh, and then obviously we can do the gold. So yeah, again, let that dry, and for you it'll be seconds, but for me it'll be a few minutes. Okay, so now that that wash has dried, you can see it's got a lot darker, but it is very sort of muddy looking. I did have a play around with some Sanguine Scarlet and the Elysian Blue. Get a purple, but it basically ended up the same as if I mixed some of the black and the blue into the purple we've already got. So yeah, it doesn't come out any different. So what I'm going to do is basically use what I've got up here for the skirt, and yeah, just lighten it up slightly for those brighter areas, or that mid-tone, and then I can add a little bit of white to that to get that highlight colour. So all I'm going to do is using it as though the light is coming from his right, so when he's this way it will be coming from his left, his right still, sorry, so our left. So our right on this side, our left on this way, and I'm just going to pick out these raised areas. Now what I'm trying to do is just catch the brush but yeah, I don't think it's going to work too well. And then obviously we're going to highlight on top of that. And then for the arm here, it's going to be fairly dark, but we're going to have this brighter spot just up here. Here you can't really get it, and then we've got the boot on this side. The inside I'm going to leave fully shaded. I'm not going to bother highlighting that just because it's in shadow. The same with some of this under area here. We're just going to leave that in heavy shadow. And then we'll just touch into these squares. You might not need to add any white to that actually, it's quite sort of vibrant in itself. let's have a look. Let's just grab this pure at the top. And then we'll just add some highlight here. I'll be honest, I think purple is going to be the worst to be off throughout this series, just because of obviously trying to make a dark purple or a blue purple whilst only having a light blue and a black to work with is, well, it's almost impossible. There may be an artist better than me that can do it, but I can't. Comparing that, we can see my purple is nowhere near the blue purple of this, but I don't think there's a way that I can achieve that, unfortunately. I've just realised that's actually quite light in there, not dark, so we'll go with a lighter grey in there and then leave the outside darker. But yeah, so the purple, unfortunately, I can't quite get. But as far as purple goes, it's not, you know, it's not a horrible purple. It's just not going to match the card. Okay, so moving on to the skin tone, we can now go back to this mid-tone. I have mixed up some more here whilst I was waiting for it to dry. But we're just going to pick off the areas, again facing that light direction, leaving that recess and undershadow area, and being careful not to go too pink with this. So there's the first bit, and then if we mix this light brown into this and then a little bit more of that flesh, that should give us that grey brown to final highlight with. Go. So now if we go to the card, again we can see we're not too far off with that. That does quite close match, a lot better than the purple does. Obviously I've done the top of his hand a little bit lighter, whereas they've got the light coming from the front this side, which is why you've got the knuckles lit up there. I've got the light coming from a different angle, but you can see it's colour wise it's fairly matching. Now I'm not going to try and do this tattoo that he seems to have there. So yeah, that's the most difficult parts done. Next we'll do the gold, and then the silver. And I've just realised I've actually forgot to do the purple around his wristband there, and this one. So I'll get them in quickly, and then we can work on to the next what, the gold. So there's not a huge amount here, so I don't really need to shade it too much. It's going to be right next to that gold. Just use the darker tone for the darker areas and we should get away with it. And then on this side. Now, is that rope purple as well? No. It's got purple either side of it, but it's brown in the middle, and I'm not going to get the purple either side of that. You can see here, they haven't put it in on the model basically, so that's just a brown rope. Then we've got the purple around there, so that's fine. The rope is the same colour as the. Actually, it's similar to the flesh tone. So let's have a look. If we do this, and then I can put a a mud wash over the top, that should give me the tone that I need for that. This one here will do with this brown. It's going to have a lighter brown over the top. It looks almost white in the image, but I thought it may be the same as the ones around his wrist. Right, so let's move on to the gold. If we can get the ball out of the, there we go, out of the nozzle. So you can see it's quite a bright gold, but it's not sort of that yellow gold. At least it doesn't appear to be as yellow as I want it. So all I'm going to do is mix in a little bit of the yellow. Now you can't mix too much, because if you mix in a matte with a gold, you're just going to basically matte that gold down. But if we can get a little bit of yellow in there, that's probably about right to mix the two together. And you can still have that metal flake in there, and it will show up a little bit. Yeah, that's a bit better. Let's have a look. So we'll start with the gauntlets here. Oh, much better. That's a much brighter yellow gold. And then we can work the pauldron. So you can see there, that is much more yellow, but it does still have that gold metallic sparkle to it. Okay, then there's his belt. I can't see it on the image, it doesn't show one, so I'm just going to do this gold all the way around. Okay, so this is probably the hardest part now, is getting this triangle detail in. I think from the looks of it, basically there's a band that goes across the top and along the edge, and then we have this double line repeating pattern. So as long as I try and find and follow that, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. There we go. Then we've got this little gold emblem that he's got here, and his sword, or his dagger sheath. And then we'll go through and see what other bits are gold on the card. I think he has some gold rings and a couple of gold bits in his hair. So yeah, he's got gold rings on his fingers, the earring and the centerpiece on the dragon there, or on his head, which would be, they've done it on the model as this sort of spot bit in the middle, which is all I'm going to do. And then for the rings, you can see he's got these three here. I'm not going to try and do the rubies, these are small miniature. It's not worth putting that extra detail in, he's just for the tabletop. Oh, and the hilt of the handle, the pommel, whatever you call it, of the axe here. And I think he has a gold bit around his thing there, his hair, his beard. Okay, so before we move on, he's got the gold on the end of his toes here, or the end of his boots, so we can do that as well, and then we'll do the boot afterwards. So there's that one, and then this one. And he's got these plates on the top as well. I'm going to do them in silver. Again, there's no reference on the card as to what these should be. There may be images elsewhere that show his feet, but we're working by the card art. So for this part, you get free reign. Just see, now that I've done the gold, we can see where his hair is extra. There. So yeah, I think for the boots we're just going to keep it nice and simple. Use this boar hide, and then we'll add a little bit of the other colour just to get it a little bit lighter for a highlight. I'm not going to go super complicated with it. Just want something that will stand out against the flesh tone and the purple. Obviously that's also up here because it's the boot leather overturned. Just realised as well, along the silver and grey here, or what will be grey, this rope was done in gold. That's that done. A little bit black over that. Okay, so next, oh sorry, there we go. Okay, so that's that done. So next we're going to dry brush over the beard and the hair with a grey just to pick off those details before we do the silver, because obviously he's got these, you can see it right there, and up here he's got these silver bits in his beard, and obviously if we do them we're not going to be able to dry brush afterwards. So we'll do the dry brush next, and then to finish this off it will be the silver on the blade here. When we do the grey there, we'll do it on this part here. It'll be the silver here, the silver on his back and on the tops of his boots here, as well as the little bits that he's got in his beard, and then he will be done. Okay, so next we're going to do the hair, and for this I've got some wolf grey. I've just got to put a small amount down here. This is quite a blue grey, so I'm just going to take some of that black and mix that up a little bit, just to make it just a little bit darker, like so. And I'm also using an Artist Opus Series D small for this, but you could use any dry brush you want. And then I'm going to remove the majority, and very carefully, this is why I'm using the small, just try and get in and pick out that black beard and hair. So it's going to take a couple of passes, and what I'm going to do is just lighten it up again by adding a little bit more of that blue in there. I say blue, it's grey. Remove some of the excess, and then just very lightly touch across the top. Like so, and then mix in some more of that, get it so it's almost the original grey colour, just a little bit darker. Remove most of the excess, and then just touch just on this one side, just for a bit of highlight up there where the light would be coming in. Oh, I'll get it on camera, and there we go. That's as simple as that. What I'll do is a little bit more of this in there, get it a little bit darker again, and just dry brush this stone area. Well, I say stone, it's grey in the artwork. It has that sort of stone look to it, so that's what I'm sort of counting it as. There we go. Okay, so next I'm going to take a size 0, and again just going into that wolf grey. I'm going to use this just to edge highlight some of the details on the axe head here. Like so. Okay, going back to the dragon's gold now, because he does have some gold in his beard. He's got some trinkets and stuff. So I'm just going to put a small amount of that back down. As the other lot has dried, it's been a few days now since I filmed the earlier part. So all I'm going to do is just pick off those gold trinkets in there. Not super easy to see, but I can just about make them out. I think they were only on the beard by the looks of it. I think that's it. Okay, next we can move on to the plate armor, or the steel, and for that we are using plate armor. There we go, shouldn't need too much. And then back up to a size 2 brush for this, and I am literally just going to brush that on to those silver metallic areas. Right, so he's got that one there, and then he's got this large plate across his back. And then the tops of his feet, or his boots. I think that is it. Oh no, we've got the part on his head, haven't we? This piece that comes down like that, and there. Okay, so that's looking a little bit too clean on the gold, the plate metal, and the boots and that. So what I'm going to do is take some, if I can find it. No, not covered on grey. There we go, some battle mud wash. put some of this down here. Too much. I don't think that lid was done up fully. So all I'm going to do with this is apply this over the gold and the silver. Just to sort of dirty it up a bit and give that gold a bit of shading. In fact, this should work if we do it over the boots as well. That'll make some of the browning in there. That'll go nice and set in those recesses. There we go. So we'll leave that to dry, and then we can come back up or come back in and just go over and touch up those areas and sort of re-highlight or re-brighten them on the raised areas. So I'll let that dry, and with the magic of editing, we'll be back in less than a second. Okay, so now that those have had time to dry, we can go back in first with the silver, and all I'm going to do is edge highlight and then just do this edge a couple of millimeters in, or maybe about half and half. But what I'm trying to achieve is that shinier blade edge look that the artwork has. So you can see here it's got this shinier edge and then this slightly duller back or main piece. So again, same here, just coming up along this edge like that, and then with the feet plate I'm just gonna stipple it a little bit just to make it look a little bit more sort of textured and beaten metal over the top, leaving some of that sort of dirtier wash on the plating. Leave that area there in shadow with just a little few bit of highlight there. Right, for the feet, I'm just going to edge highlight on that raised area. Like so. And then for the gold, I'm going to go back to the size 0, but you could probably use a size 1. I just don't want to get the brush out. And then all I'm going to do is just highlight, leaving that wash in the deeper recesses and just picking off those raised area details. And then edge highlighting around here. Okay, and then just pick off the gold on the feet here. And then just across sort of the outside edges of this belt, the raised areas. Right, one other thing, I did the beard things in gold, and I noticed when I looked at the cards that they're actually silver. So I'm just going to fix that now. There we go. And then also the thing here has 3 gems, one green, one red and one purple. So I'm just going to dot them in now. And I think also, yes, the dragon's eye is also red. So there's the red. That's the purple. And now we need a green. I don't have a green out, so I'm just going to use the Skulky yellow and mix it with some of the blue that I've got there. And there we go, a little bit of green. Right, I think looking at that, we are done. So let's compare it to the card. Obviously the purple is going to be off, it's not going to match as much. We can see it's much more vibrant purple here, but we are working with limited colours. And then we've got the silvers. They're not far off. Obviously we've got the wash is making it a bit more sort of browny greenish tinge to it. I could have done it with a black wash, but I think for the gold that wouldn't have worked, so I just wanted to be quick and get that wash on there. You can see he's got a lot more silver in his hair. They're too difficult to mark out or to make out on the sculpt. So I've left those, got the main ones in his beard. I'm looking a little bit gold there, but they are silver as we saw. I just repainted them. The gold isn't far off. You know, we've got the gold on there. And I've just noticed the staff I've actually done in black and not silver, so I'll quickly change that to black, to silver now. We'll get that in there, and then I think that will be done. So let's get that silvered up. There we go. Can we get his eyes? I think we might be able to. It's a little bit of white. I don't think that's going to revive. So we'll get some more if I can find my white. Where's my white? There it is. So a little bit of white star here. We'll just touch that down slightly. There we go. And with the size 0, let's see if we can just touch these in on his eyes there. There's one, and there's 2. So there we go, a couple of white eyes. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, did I make it or not? Let me know what you think. If you're enjoying this series, obviously give the video a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments that you're enjoying it. The more interaction I get, the more I get boosted up on YouTube's algorithm, the more viewers I get, the more chance I get of followers, so the channel grows, and then I can do more things for you guys. Come on, I need to hit 1,000 followers this year. We're getting close, just over 600 now. I think we're at 650 something, but yeah, come on guys, let's do this. So if you're not already subscribed, there's a hint, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, got some cool things coming up for the channel, but obviously this is the Heroquest series. I've got almost all of the box sets now, just missing 3 of the larger ones, the most recent 3, and yeah, got them all to work through. So thanks a lot for joining me guys, and until next time, as always, take it easy, keep painting those minis.